I've known for quite some time coming out of Scientology that the world ain't going to be saved by any one of us. The term itself is kind of ridiculous, saving the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, like George Carlin said, the world ain't going anywhere. Right? We are.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So if anything, you want to talk about saving the human race. You don't want to talk about saving the world, because the world is not the human race. There are millions of species of life on this planet who couldn't care less about us. Don't ever give us a passing thought in their entire life. So we're not the world, right? But we like to think we are. Mm-hmm. So saving the world, even as a euphemism, is a kind of a silly one. But even consciously stripping off those layers, as I've been doing all these years, and seeing that saving the world was a silly idea and not something that was practical or real or at all something that I was, ever going to be able to pull off, I still felt with every single thought that I had, and this is what I was talking about with the bias, because it's not just a nice idea I was having. Every thought, every idea, every decision I was making was being filtered through this idea of, is what I'm about to say, do, think, put together for a podcast, whatever, what kind of social impact will this have? I don't mean social blowback. I mean good. I mean, what kind of social good am I going to be doing with this, or could I do? And if I don't accomplish social change of some significant kind, then I'm a failure. I'm not getting the job done that I'm supposed to be getting done. And this has been an underlying motivation in my head for a very, very long time. This goes back to definitely my recruitment into Scientology, my indoctrination in Scientology. I absolutely remember when these things happened, when they were kind of installed, I guess you could say, because going into Scientology as a 15-year-old, I did not have these ideas. And even after being on courses and doing training and doing a purification rundown, by the time I was 17 years old, I still had a career path in mind that did not involve anything about saving the world. And it was the staff recruitment cycle, I guess I'll call it, or the conversations that were had while I was being recruited for staff, where this really started being drilled into me. And it was drilled into me by people whose opinion mattered to me, whose opinions about me and the material they were going over were important. As far as I was concerned, I granted these people a lot of importance. I granted L. Ron Hubbard's words a lot of weight. And I was also in a situation where I was in a closed room being recruited very heavily. And it really impinged on me, as that's the word. That's kind of a Scientology use of that word, but it really hit me. I mean, it really did. And it wasn't just a one-time deal. It went on and on and on for days. And you go, okay, fine, it's called recruitment, get it, it's really intense, it's really wild, and we get it. But what I didn't get, and what I don't know that I've talked about or that has really been understood, is just how deep into your personality or your being, who you are, this indoctrination can go. Because even years after coming out of Scientology, recognizing it's all bullshit, laughing about Xenu, ridiculing the beliefs, deconstructing the belief system and the techniques for you guys and for myself along the way, all of this work, very cathartic, all of that being done, still didn't show me this root bias. And the reason I keep talking about it that way is because I kept holding on myself this standard, this impossible standard. The bar was way up here, right? If I put my hand up high, right? Like, I could never meet that standard. I could never meet that goal of, vast improvements in society, vast improvements in social, discourse or whatever, right? And because I couldn't do that with my little show here and my channel, right, which I love you guys. I love what I do. I really do. I am so thankful for the opportunity to do what I'm doing and that you guys care enough to listen to what I'm saying. But I was marginalizing, sort of just kind of pushing off to the side positive feedback, comments, and most importantly, all the help that I have been doing for individual people over the years. And there has been a lot of people, and I know this through emails, through direct conversations, through phone calls with one-on-one individuals who have helped out of cult situations, helped them because they were family of cult members, helped people just because I'm just kind of talking to people and helping them out with whatever. Former cult members, helping them in their recovery. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff with all of that. And this isn't about tooting my horn. This is about the fact that I couldn't appreciate what I was doing or give any sort of importance to what I was doing really because it wasn't saving the world. It wasn't making vast change, right, through the world. And the place that this hit me the other day, and it wasn't just yesterday, it was about a week or two ago, was when I was on Twitter, and I thought to myself, I have to, I'm fairly political on Twitter. I tweet out stuff about politics and stuff. Other critics of Scientology, other ex-members, don't really get into that too much. Atheists do a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The atheist community is all about politics.
They love it, yeah.
The ex-Scientology world, the ex-cult community is not. Generally speaking, we don't talk about politics at all. Yeah. So it's pretty weird that I'm out on Twitter, grandstanding about politics all the time. But I feel compelled to do so because of how I feel about our current administration. So be that as it may, right? You don't have to hate me for that. It's just me, just kind of mouthing off. I caught myself in something that I had not caught myself in, and that was I was sending out tweets and I was talking to people and building up my following, and I thought to myself, I've got to do more because I can't let 2016 repeat itself. And if you think about me telling myself that for just a second, exactly, exactly. And it was the first time that I had that thought, where I was immediately followed up with, "What are you talking about, Chris?" Like I finally had enough self-awareness, to go, wait a second. I have a nice Twitter following and I have a nice subscriber base and you guys are awesome. You really are. But you're not enough people to change the whole society. I'm not reaching that many people. I'm not at that level. And I don't know that I'm ever going to be. And putting myself constantly against that standard, it wasn't just a matter of having a nice goal or having a thing to reach for. It was that I was actually kidding myself that I was capable of pulling off vast social change through some social media activity or through podcasting or through videos or something. And that's so far away from, it finally hit me, right? Like that's so far off of reality that it's kind of delusional. And I don't mean to say that I was crazy. I just mean that I had this bias, this fixed idea in my head, this thought that I couldn't not think, right? I had to think it, which was, what's the social relevance and importance and what's the effect going to be of what I'm doing? And if it's not big and if it's not whatever, then it's just not good enough. And I'm not good enough. And the help I'm giving people isn't good enough. And the real, substantive, tangible assistance that I render to people, it's just not good enough. And I don't mean to say all of this as though I'm gonna go, quit everything and rest on my laurels now or something. It's not. It's if anything, it was very clarifying, and it suddenly became very clear this week with a lot of ups and downs, and still having a lot of ups and downs about this, to be completely honest with you guys, of getting over this idea. It's, when you When you're a teenager, I've read that there is a phase you go through. I wanted to ask you about this.
Okay.
You know, I read that there's a phase that people go through as late teens, early 20s of the messianic phase, right? This is one of the reasons why young people are so susceptible to joining cults. One, they're inexperienced. Two, they don't know how inexperienced they are. Three,
Right. They think they're smart.
they're ignorant and they're not, right? They don't. I mean, I don't care how much knowledge you have crammed in your cranium. When you're 18 years old, you ain't got the life experience to figure out what's important and what's not in all situations. You know, you might be really good in one or two areas, but you got a lot of learning to do. 18 years isn't that long. So, and you can be, it's way easier to take advantage of people in that phase. But there's also, in addition to all those problems, there's also just this kind of phase that teens tend to go through of feeling like they're, you know, saving the world's a thing to do, making a big difference. I'm going to make an impact on the world, you know?
Yeah.
And they then, you know, join the Peace Corps, join the military, do this, do that. And there's lots and lots of reasons for this. I'm not saying that this is the only reason people do any of these things, but it's there.